take a look at you real quick. They're nice people. And there is you. And you are.
Avery was a happy baby. He always, he's always, well, 75% of the time he has a smile on his face. The other 25% of the time somebody's done something to make him mad. Smile, bud. What are you doing with them headphones on? I was breastfeeding him, and he was looking at me, but one of his eyes was looking at me and one of his eyes was twitching off, and it really concerned me that there was something wrong. She said, but I'll do a CT scan for you anyways. And we went and did a CT scan with Avery, and before we could make it back from the hospital back to the pediatrician's office, she'd already made arrangements for him to go to Levine Children's Hospital in Charlotte, North Carolina, because he had bleeding on his brainstem, which is considered a hemorrhagic stroke. They just knew there was blood there. They didn't know if it was still bleeding. They didn't know if, if they needed to do emergency surgery. So they rushed him to the children's PICU, Pediatric Intensive Care Unit at Levine Children's Hospital. And when we got there, we had to go over like whether or not it was an AVM, which is an arteriovenous malformation, which is like a cluster of blood vessels that kind of look like a ball of yarn. And they told me that that could have caused his vessels to be weaker and burst. And then once they realized, once the blood had reabsorbed into the body and dissipated, they realized that there was no AVM there and that he had just had a stroke on his brainstem. They told me, they told me he was supposed to be a vegetable, that he should be bedridden, that he wouldn't walk, he wouldn't talk. Look at him now. I mean, he's in his second year of preschool, and he does walk and talk and play with kids and feed himself and help me put his clothes on.
Avery was the first child who I had had in 30 years who had had a brainstem stroke as an infant. So there was a lot of research. So I did a lot of research about outcomes of children with that. And first of all, it's very rare. Most children do not survive brainstem strokes. The first thing I remember with Avery is he just did very little sitting up He did very little walking. He really preferred to lay on the floor on his side with toys. And therefore, when he was erect, his head completely laid over on his shoulder, and he was not able to hold it up. Those were the first things. The next thing was that Avery had no means of communication. And so our next plan of action was to give him at least some ways to communicate with us for things that he liked, things that he didn't like, letting us know where he wanted to be in the classroom. So we worked with the speech pathologist. We did start using some signs. And then Avery, pretty quickly after he came to us, he began to use some true words. Now, they didn't always have meaning yet, but enough of the words were intelligible enough that we begin to use those as a basis for language.
So hi. Do you want chocolate milk? Hi.
This is my first year working for Polk County Schools, so this is my first year working with Avery. I've been working with him since August, beginning of the school year.
Green frog. A green frog.
Green frog.
Green frog. I see a green frog looking at me.
Because of Avery's age, and I do the same thing with a lot of other preschoolers too, we do play therapy. We play together in ways that are appropriate for kids to be playing. So we do cars, and we move them back and forth, and we make car noises as we go. And I do a lot of modeling, vroom, vroom, beep, beep, all these fun things. And he'll repeat them back to me, which is the goal. The goal is to get him to use more words.
I'm getting tired. You've been great. Sit down, please. P-I-T-U-V. I love how you're singing. A, B, C, D, E, F.
I'm engaging him trying to participate socially with other children, working one-on-one, playing games, so he can have more independence in the classroom.
Physically, he can do just about anything anybody else does. Physically demanding. He's tall. He's 4 years old and I'm 23. I'm 5'6" and he's over half my height, and he's only 4 years old. I mean, he's a big boy, and he's strong. So I mean, physically, he's not really limited, other than his balance issues.
Avery has a hard time interacting with other kids in that it's not that he doesn't know how to play something with them. They don't understand he's so clumsy when he gets close to an object like that. Like if he's going over to play with a group of kids, sometimes he falls onto them or he bumps into them and it kind of makes him uncomfortable. But they're getting better about it, and he is beginning to, he does interact. He does like to be with the children. Like when we do circle time, he really wants to be down on the floor where they are, and we've been really working to facilitate that. I have a special seating system that I've been putting Avery in for circle time, and it puts him way down, closer to the floor, but it still gives him a chance to be a part of the group, but be supported.
Sometimes he does things that frustrate me, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, what are you doing? Like, why'd you do that? And then he starts laughing because he has no clue that he did something wrong. And he just thinks it's the funniest thing that I'm mad. And then I can't help but laugh, And so most of the time he does a really big deal of keeping my spirits high.
2, 5, 6.
I don't want him to grow up thinking that he's special. And of course he's special to me, but I don't want him growing up thinking he has a disability, And that's the doctors told me that was a positive thing, that I could bring from him having a stroke at such an early age is that something positive that I could bring from him having a stroke at such an early age is that he will learn to live a normal life based on his disability. He won't have to relearn how to live a normal life based on a disability. It's just to him it's life. It's not anything different. I would love for him to be normal, but he's not, and that's okay. To him, he is normal, and that's okay with me, as long as he's happy.